Yura, hello. My name is Isiah Hippisley, a proud Pita man, and I pay my respects to the ancestors, elders, past, present, and emerging, who strengthens and guides us, continually nurtures us, and inspires us to be future custodians of this land. Now sit back, enjoy, and why don't you listen on into a bit of a yarn. But I look at him and go, man, I wouldn't, what? That's crazy to me. To fathom that happened, or you went through that, even though he's my dad, and I look up to him, and we have our tiffs and we have our, that's just us father son.
Yeah.
But I've learned so many things as a young man, especially as a young Aboriginal man,
Yes.
on what chains to break,
Yes.
what needs to change, not only in our
Yes.
culture,
Yeah.
but for our generational young men.
Yes.
In our culture.
Yeah.
One of those things is pride. A really, really big thing. Yeah,
Yes.
pride in our Murray culture needs
yeah.
to be big, man. We
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
represent. We need to,
yeah.
we are the First Nation people of this country.
Yeah.
And we need to pick our heads up and go, you know what? Against all controversy, against what happened, I'm a proud Aboriginal Pita man. Or whatever mob you're from.
Yeah.
And I only say that because I have had so many conversations where, it is culturally generational, that generational shame, that generational trauma, all of these things. And then that gets brought down into a father-son relationship.
Yep,
and I think it's really sad.
It is.
And it needs to change.
It is,
And it needs to change, and you yourself, I know that you are doing different things with your son that, you exactly said,
100%.
you seen with your dad and you're like, man, why?
Insanely affectionate.
Yeah.
Both with my partner and my children. I'm just constantly hugging my kids,
Yeah.
constantly telling them I love them, constantly trying to inspire them. 100% there's moments where I'm, cranky and stop talking to me, so it's not perfect by far, but I'm aware and I'm trying to be my best, but it's trying to change that generation, but I always try and analyze psychologically, situations like my dad and how he became who he is, because he wasn't always like that, he tells me stories of his childhood, and his childhood was insanely, incredibly adventurous. They traveled the whole world in a complete, all the way around. And it was we spent, 5-6 years in South Africa, and then we went to this country, island country, and then we sailed over here, and I spent a couple of years in this country, and I went over here, and I spent a couple of years here, and we did this, and I had this job for a while, and I'm like, and then I bought my first car, and I did this, and I had this massive car accident where I flipped it and crashed and burned, should have died 3 times in my life, and I'm still alive here. And I'm like, who's this guy? This adventurous freaking,
I don't know him.
I don't know him. I do not know him. Who is this man? So I don't know what changed. I think maybe there's a lot of traps of mediocrity in life where you can fall into a trap where you lose the person you're meant to be, and you fall for safety. You get too focused on the negative and too focused on what could go wrong, and then you all of a sudden you stop doing things that you used to do. I don't know if it was children that changed him. I don't know if it was marriage that changed him. I don't know if it was the compound effect of getting a job you didn't like and you get stuck in, you're not passionate. Every trap you can fall for in mediocrity, he's fallen for, and then, and looking back on some of the issues I have, and then looking back on my childhood, how much of it was a typical scenario where the wife is nagging you and nagging you, nagging you. Because I remember mum nagging him and going, "Mum, you've been so annoying, leave him alone."
Just leave him.
But now as an adult, and this is something I've learned, when Larissa's nagging me, I get worked up because that's a childhood wound, because I used to see mum nagging. But now I know it's because he wasn't being a man.
Yeah.
He wasn't being a man. He was not leading the family. He was not leading the children or the wife. They didn't have safety. He wasn't being the protector and the provider to his, he was, but to the minimum.
Definitely.
So when a woman doesn't feel safe in a relationship, she doesn't feel like the man's being a man, she's trying to push him to be a man. I need you to do this. You're the man. Go hunt. Go gather. Once upon a time, it was you were the man because you went and you worked to provide for the family.
And I love, bro, honestly, I relate to that so much, not only in a cultural aspect, but to a father-son aspect.
Yes.
My dad has always taught me, whatever aspect you go in your life, no matter where you go,
the day that you have a family and the day that you have a partner, it is not only your job to provide, be a safety net, be someone who is loving, but a man isn't someone who is this, I'm a protector, I'm a hunter. It's someone who is, you know, the famous Bruce Lee saying, like water. When you're furious and you're enraged, you're powerful. But when you're calm and you're still, you're beautiful and you're elegant. And that is something that we need to teach our young men. And that is, I think that's something that's not only culturally gone out the window, not so much gone out the window, but it's not emphasized or taught as much, especially with young youth now. And not to mention the fatherless generation is just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's epidemic.
And you know, that whole, if you want to go down the cultural aspect, it's, you know, as a man, you were someone who was seen up to and you will look up to, not in a power, not in a I'm better than you. It's for us culturally, it's uncle, like, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me? Can you teach me? Of course, nephew, I got you. Or an elder or whatever, you know, like it's someone to look up to through healthy mentor and a positive role model, 100%. You know, and be, you know, everybody's not perfect. We're going to trip. We're going to fall. Especially as a father. You're going to trip and fall. And things like that. And, you know, I haven't experienced that yet. But from conversations and things like that, the times, even conversations with my dad now, like, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, son. Like, you know, I stuffed up. And to me, that's like, that's crazy. Like, someone who's lived, you know, 40 years and has so much more life experience than me, I'm going through something completely different, can compromise with me. And that is the definition of a man. For me, that is what being a healthy male role model is.
100%.
And I think that is what we need to voice, we need to show, we need to teach young men how to do that. Because a lot of, you know, being in the youth space, in the disengaged youth area, there is no healthy male role models 100%. At all. You know, like there is very, very, very few, very, very few. And a lot of them only do it for publicity. And a lot of them do it for this, you know, look at me, look at me, look at me. You know, I think, 100%. You know, influencers are a big one. That I've noticed. It's, like, I want to be like this guy. He's got the car and he's got the he's got the girl and he's got the gains and he's got all these things. That's all well and good. But how is he mentoring his young youth? How does he talk outside of the camera?
That's
you know,
right.
is he
his true character?
Exactly, you know, and that is something we're missing.
What is his actual influence?
100%.
Is he actually a positive influence? It's great that he's showing off he's successful, because there's a lot of those guys, but it's like, how is he? And there's a few people around these days. There's a few guys that I follow that are very much based on, I've got the girls, I've got the Ferrari, I've got the big house, but they're teaching and got courses on. We live in a world that's very demasculating.
Definitely.
Let alone we have a lack of fatherhood guidance. So he's like, let me, as a person in this position, give you some tools and some courses to help you get out of being broke, get out of being low self-esteem, and not necessarily be full-on egotistic, but have some confidence.
There's actually it's funny you say that. There's actually this guy on TikTok that I follow, and I have to get his name, and I'll put it in the comments for who's watching and listening. But
I'm curious.
It's like he teaches dad things. That's his whole vibe. So it's changing a tire, how to fix a leaky tap, all these things. And he has millions and millions of followers because there's no one to teach these young people. That's a niche market
that needs to be filled. There's not,
you know, like it's as simple as him recording how to chop up onions correctly, like or how to mow your lawn, how to start your mower, how to change a filter, like all of these. You know, for me is like, I already know that, but I'm like, holy crap! Like,
see, you've brought up some of my memories. I had those moments with my dad, but it was always a negative experience because he
hold the flashlight. Why aren't you holding it right? Like,
that's right. Always negative. Always made me feel stupid and dumb. Instead of going, I'd like this, son. Let me show you how to do it. He would blow up, get angry, get frustrated. You know, and just lose his shit so quickly. And I'm there going, dude, give me a freaking chance. Like, show me, mentor me. I did it wrong.
There's actually this another podcast. Oh man, I'm so bad with it now. I'll have to get it and I'll put it in again. I'll put it in. But it's around how to do that. So, for example, he does this and he has this young girl, right?
Yeah.
And he gives her the wrong wrench size.
Yeah.
He purposely gives her that.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Expecting dad to give her the answer. Expecting him to go...
Yeah.
And then if she stuffs up, oh, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
it's like, no, I'm going to give you an opportunity to grow and learn.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you seriously can't figure it out, then come to me and I'll help.
Give them a chance to figure it out.
And letting them know that they're doing the wrong thing to grow is so... And I looked at that as a young man and I was like, what? That's so true. Because everybody, you know, even just... in the gym, man, like just for an example, I've had people come up to me and like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, or just in life. And they're like, what are you doing? You're an idiot, like da-da-da. And it's not like, you know, I have an amazing mentor at work named Josh. He's the man. Cool. And there's been so many situations where he comes up to me and he's like, hey bro, what you've done is really good, but this is how I do it. Or this is another way of doing it. And I sit there and go,
could this be a better way?
And I'm like, man, like this is the mentoring we need.
That's it.
And we have to be sharing that and exposing that, not only culturally, but through every diversity, whatever background, anything you're going through. We have to be doing this for men and women or whatever. It doesn't matter.
100%.
And I think that's really, really cool. And I think
there's a deficiency of that attitude in the educational system. Like, you're not taught. Like, I remember when that successful business client of mine gave me that book and he started using the word success. I swear to God, I'd never heard the word success. I never, throughout my whole entire existence, I was maybe in my 20s, no one ever used the word success and ambition. Those two words were so foreign to me. I was like, real alienated to me. Like, what is success? What is that? Like, and then when I started getting my head around it, I'm like, I was taught maths, I was taught English, I was taught science. I was never taught success in life. I was never taught ambition. I was never taught passion. Those three words did not exist. It was, here's your paper, read this
is your test, this is your assignment.
That's it. And you could see on every single teacher's face how unambitious and how unexcited and how fulfilled they were in their own lives. Because they're like dealing with just kids again, like, oh, this is the criteria I've been told to do, so this is what we're doing. So there is a deficiency in the educational system on being passionate about life and how, let alone, you can't blame the teachers, it's still the parents.
Definitely.
It's always parenting.
Definitely. And that's really funny you say that as well. So being in the disengaged youth space, we are in a vocational education. That's where I work. And it's really cool because we have the ability to be able, for our students, for example, if you want to do a trade, I'm going to hook you up with a trade. Like, you don't have to be in school 5 days a week, from 8 till 3. That's not a thing with us, which is really, really awesome. But on top of that, learning how to be a healthy mentor in the moments that mean the most is probably one of not only the most challenging things personally and mentally, but in just every aspect. Because for example, you have a young individual who has either done the wrong thing or has completely stepped out of line, and you're like, I just want to I want to headbutt you right now. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? That's right. And it's come on, man. I know you know better. I know you know better. But why? And I have been really, really practicing the letting them understand, not me going, you've done wrong, you're doing wrong, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. It's, oh, okay, I should have done this, or I should have done that. You know what? Next time I'm going to do that. And it's a self-reflection, not a put down.
What made you feel that was the right choice to do in the moment? Were you triggered? Were you upset? Were you hurt? Were you 100%. Angry? Where does anger come from? It comes from fear. What were you fearing? That's what I'm reading and studying at the moment. I'm reading some brilliant stuff and brilliant content on anger management. And it makes me really reflect deeper behind myself and my initial defenses and going, why am I defensive on these topics? Why am I so offended? Why am I so hurt? And it always comes back to some level of inadequacy or trauma. So
100%. Like, and not, touching on that trauma side of stuff, a lot of young people as well. And I'm sure this is for every age group. It's when something happened that triggers them from a trauma that has happened in the past or in the present, it's like the brain just goes haywire and it completely goes, you know, like that scene off Inside Out when it's like haywire and they're running around and the red lights flashing and they don't know what to do. Like that's something that I've noticed that happens not only for myself, but for other people when situations happen and they're like, and you watch them explode, you watch them build up and then go bang, you know, and that book, and you know, I've heard many podcasts and you know, Jordan Peterson is a perfect example of this. You know, he is like, you know, we've studied the reptilian brain and how it reacts when you're in those circumstances of you know, old traumas being brought up or whatever, and it's like a simple as perfect example, Jonathan Thurston. Grand final has to kick the 2 points, right? You actually watch in the top right corner his heart rate like through the roof, right?
Oh, wow.
And there's these 3 simple steps which I recommend people to do. It's balance, so you watch him and he rocks himself.
He sets his balance.
And it's like a baby. When a baby is crying, you rock. So it stabilizes their brain, right? And you watch him. He belly breathes. In, hold, out through the belly. And you watch his heart rate, man. Drop.
Perfect.
And it's within 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's right.
It's literally within a 5,
the
10 second window.
Yeah.
And if we can control that and learn to do that, man, the situations and the opportunities and the decisions you make won't be reactive.
Yes.
It's intentional.
That's right.
And that's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because in the book I'm reading now, I'm reading about anger because it's like if someone cuts you off and you get pissed off, you have every right to be angry.
Yeah.
Like you just cut me off and it was freaking killing me. You blah, 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 blah. I saw a story about the other day, just window down, screaming at this woman. And I'm like, what I've learned is that anger at that level is a choice.
Yeah.
And if anger is a choice, which not only toxifies them because you're trying to hurt them with anger, what you're actually doing is just toxifying yourself. You are putting in hard negative energy and chemicals through your body that are just surging and tiring and exhausting and draining you and your soul. Why would you choose that? If you had the choice, if you were in control, that's a reaction. That's a reaction. You think that's the way they act. You think that's what's deserving. But if you had a choice, would you not choose joy and fulfillment over anger? Because if you were joyful and go, well, at least she didn't hit me. That could have been bad. She's probably having a bad day. That's all good. So it's all good. So it's a choice.
I'd really love to talk about the story that I told you not long ago. So that's something that I'm practicing. I'm really trying to practice that choice making and what to do in situations.
Me
and
too.
Instead of just bang, it's okay, let's 3 seconds. That's all it takes, right? And I actually had a incident where I ran in with a guy and I accidentally cut him off. Didn't even realize I cut him off, right?
Right.
Bad driving, right? Didn't even realize it. Like, I was like,
accidents
what are you doing? Like, come on, pay
you
attention.
Knew you were in the wrong.
I knew I was in the wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I actually pulled up next to him at the lights, red light. This guy has got out of his car and come over to my car and is like going off. And he's like, you this and rah, beep, beep. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. It was an accident. Like, I didn't even realize. And he's like, you know, pull over. And it was just this whole episode. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to pull over. So we stop this traffic. I can talk to this guy. If it escalates, I'll call the cops. Right? That was just my process of thought. This guy is like 6'2", like in my face, big boy. And I was like, man, can I buy you lunch? I'm sorry. Can I buy you lunch? And this dude's reaction
I love it.
was mind-blowing, man. He was like, why? I'm here drilling you, wanting to punch on and just destroy you. But you're treating me with kindness, and I watched his brain turn. And again, not telling these stories to hype myself up or try and get all this love or whatever. But it's just an example of how to practice these things. And we had lunch, and man, I think I bought him a kebab or something. We just yarned, and he was like, man, you know what? I thank you. I haven't had a friend in I don't even remember how long. And by the end of it, he's calling me his mate. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And and now I have his contact,
so
and it's powerful, man. Choice is powerful.
You would see a lot of this with your youth, because yet again, like, he was probably running on ego.
Definitely.
His ego was hurt. You cut him off. How dare you? You hurt my ego.
Yeah.
Because self-confidence, I don't need to get angry about that.
Yeah.
But his ego got hurt, so he's going to throw his ego onto you, but you didn't have ego. You diffused his ego with humility, and you diffuse it by taking ownership of your mistake, as opposed to, if your ego was hurt, you're going to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, damn right, I cut you off. Who gives a shit? Blah, blah, blah. Ego versus ego. There's a fight on.
Yeah.
If you see anyone in a brawl and a fight, that's two egos.
Yeah.
That is not self-esteem. It's not self-confidence. It's not self-worth.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get into a fight. I don't want to get my face punched in. I don't want to lose a tooth.
Yeah.
My ego is going to get me into a fight, and then the next thing you know, someone's in hospital.
Someone's busted up.
How does that end well at all?
Yeah.
So if you can diffuse it with that humility, that's amazing. That is so hard to do.
Oh man,
how do you
struggled.
not react?
I was like, I want to drive you, bro, but
I know.
Jesus,
that's exactly
common man,
right.
flow through me right now.
Exactly.
Like, oh man, I was struggling.
Exactly right.
But
no, that's brilliant. I've ever since you taught me that and you told me that story, I've been thinking about it a lot.
Really?
So
thank you, man. I appreciate it.
100%. That is powerful, powerful lessons, because there's so many times in life and so many times in a day where, you question, your anger. And then I think of that story where it's like, no, you can diffuse that anger.
Yeah.
You can diffuse it, and you can if you were in a position where you're going to get into a fight, if I I'm sometimes have this instinctive mind, if I am taking the family out, you iron off everyone.
Yeah, you're alert.
You got to be alert, because you have to be,
100%.
because of guys like this. If there are guys who are just psychos, you got to be ready for it. So in my mind, I'm planning two things. I'm going to try to diffuse it, like you did, or I'm going to get ready to throw down and make sure I finish the job to protect my family. I'm here to protect my family. If I'm with my missus, I do not ever want to see her get a scratch.
Definitely.
I will take the hit.
Definitely.
I will take on 5 guys for her to run away. So it's like, you got to be ready for that too, because it's the world we live in. So, but if you can diffuse it like that, now that's a champion effort. That's a champion accomplishment.
Yeah. So now have 5 kids. You're trying to role model what you didn't grow up in, and what you were lacking in your childhood. You've gone through crazy life battles, but bounced back, and that is a trait that I wish I could hand out a card to people to have. 100%, being able to, something brings them down. You know what? That's cool. That door's shut. I'm going to open another one. That being able to have that mentality is so awesome. So, you've gone through all this, and where is Richard now? What's Richard doing now to not only progress, but what's that next step? What is that? Not only whether that's business or mentally or even physically, or what's your next goal?
Wow.
Or is there a goal?
There is, 100%. I think you're never, and yet again, me and Larissa talked about this today, actually, that you should, and there was a good preacher we listened to the other week, where it's like, you're never not learning. You're never not learning new lessons, and you're never not growing until the day you die. So don't, and in that, it's like, be self-aware of that growth, because you don't want to wait till you're dead to go, oh, I should have taken some better lessons and taken some better notes. Man. And we talk about regularly, the day that you step in front of God when you pass, and he's going to have a little chat with you and a bit of a reflection of your life, how much of your life are you going to be proud of? Or how many things is he going to expose? He's going to say to my dad, Roy, you did some really good things and some great things, but look at some of these areas that you let your family down. I need to show this to you. And are you willing to take ownership of this? Are you willing to forgive yourself for this? Because if that's what it's going to come down to, he's going to have to forgive himself. That's probably a lot of where his issues in alcohol comes from, lack of forgiveness. Me now, it's a never-ending journey. I don't know. I want to take my life to the next level. And we even barely touched on my spiritual life, my spiritual journey. And everyone, I think, when we talk about regulated emotions and talk about how do you handle things, the amount of times, and you don't even need to have faith, but I swear, if you just get on your knees and pray and just there's a creator. This universe is not an accident. You're not an accident. Out of the trillions of people that could have existed, and I heard this the other day, out of the trillions and trillions of human beings that could have existed in humanity's kind, you were given the gift of life. you're here for a reason. This is not
Yeah.
an accident. You are not stupid. And this is something all your youth are going to struggle with, the lack of their faith in themselves and what they're capability of. I think a lot of people are going to suffer with that low self-esteem, low self-worth, and not think they're smart enough and worthy enough of what God actually wants for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really trying to get again, as the on and off journey in life, is tap into what God wants for me and have faith that He's guiding me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because the amount of time, my issue, and I've had this so many wise people and pastors and elders tell me this, I try and achieve and work out of my own success and my own will and my own effort.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I crumble and I'm on the ground, I'm on my knees, and I go, God, like, I know this is what I know this is in your hands now. All right, I'm finally stop doing it myself.
I'm giving it over.
Please help me in the situation. Every time He answers. I cannot. This is why I have no question that there's a God, and people just don't. I question. I'm the other way around. When people go, there's no God, I don't believe in God. I'm like, how can you not?
Yeah, how is there not?
It's obviously a perspective. It's obviously not knowing Him and not seeing what He's done and thinking, good and bad things happen, just universal, spontaneous reaction. Like, no, your life there's a purpose, there's a story, there's He's known you before you're even born.
Yep.
He wants the best for you. I want the best for my kids. I think, yet again, with the father's generation, they're not going to know God because they've never had the Father's love. They never had the worldly Father, so how are they going to know the Heavenly Father?
Man,
our worldly Father is flawed. He's going to have sin and He's going to make mistakes. He's supposed to love you. He's supposed to try and mimic the Heavenly Father. Yeah. That's what I try and be, and I'm trying to be more aware of, is how to be more like Jesus and like, talk about, like handling pressure. And being cut off. Man. He wasn't cut off. He was condemned.
Yeah.
He was he was stabbed in the back by his best friend.
Yeah.
Like, he had every reason to be angry.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? This is it.
This is it.
It's just what it is.
This is, I love them anyway.
Yeah, and that's, that's, I didn't even think about that perspective until you just said that.
Yeah.
Like, whether you believe in it or not, it's still a book. Yeah, and it's still something to take from, whether you're reading it from, you're talking about all the books that you're talking about that you're reading now and all of these things. Like, people take away stuff from that. You can do the same thing with the Bible, if not more. 100%. And whether you believe or not, watching how Jesus walked his life and what happened and the twists and the turns and the crazy stuff he did, and then exactly like you said, like how he got stabbed in the back in his journey, quite literally came everyone thought it came to an end, and he was like, you know what, this isn't the end, in every single situation, not only if you've read the Bible, has he been like, you know what, God, it's up to you. This is you. He says it on the cross. If this is your will, let it be. And like, if we can do that now in our worldly life, not only do you get that overflowing energy and that overflowing, love and compassion and peace, man. Peace is a massive one. Like, being able to have peace.
And are we not all seeking that?
Yeah.
Are we not all desiring
100%.
We try and find it within drugs at the end of the bottle, watching, or we're all trying to seek to fulfill our soul. But that's all just toxic band-aids that the world has provided. It's not the answer.
It's actually really funny you said that. So there's a guy in the gym that I ran into, and he seen my cross. I got a big cross tattoo on my arm, and he was like, "Dude, like, what is that?" Like, he was intrigued by it, which is why I love having it.
I need something like that.
Man.
I used to wear a cross.
Conversation starter through the roof, man. Like, big cross like tattoo. It's weird. Anyway, and he was like, I've recently just lost my partner. She's run away with both of my children, gone through this crazy experience, right? So basically parental kidnapping. And he was like, man, like, I'm depressed, full stop. Like, that was what he said. He goes, I want to end it. Like, I'm done. And I was like, something which I've also mentioned to you as well, song for season. There's a song for your season.
Yeah, 100%. Love it.
And he was like, I hate myself. I hate my life. All of these things.
Yep.
And I was like, I want you to go home and I want you to press shuffle on Hillsong worship. That's all I want you to do.
Yep.
I'm not going to try and preach you the Bible.
Yep.
I'm not going to try, and we had a conversation and things flowed.
Yep.
But I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be this big preacher and all this. I was like,
I'm going to fix you.
I found safety and love and almost harmony and peace in a way through having my faith and grounding myself in that. All I want you to do is go home and press shuffle on Hillsong worship. 3 weeks later, I've forgotten about this conversation, right? Like, bad on my part. I was like, and he come up to me and I was like, dude, like, who are you? Like, and I completely forgot about it because it was literally like a 30-second conversation. That's all it was, right? Even a minute. Bang, gone, right? And he come up to me and he's like, can I give you a hug? And I was like,
it still hasn't clicked yet. Who's this guy? Yeah.
And then it clicked and I was like, bro, bring it in, brother. Wow. And gave him a big hug, and he was like, man, like, I found it. I found it. And I was just like, this is legit. Like,
that's legit.
And people look at, these stories and situations and I did nothing. Didn't do a thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
All I told him was go press shuffle on Spotify.
Yeah.
He could have, that's got nothing to do with me.
It was God. It was God. You just went...
Literally.
Introduction. He's God.
Yeah, go do it. Like,
chat.
Like, just give it a go. If it fails, cool. Whatever. Like, you've got nothing to lose anyway, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, like, I've literally found it. He goes, I've signed up, with this 6-week challenge. I'm eating healthy. I'm going to the court system and getting, things to get my children back. And like, within 3 weeks, he's gone from, I want to end it and I'm done to exactly like you. Close that door. Let's open another one. Let's go through this next opportunity.
That's right.
And all through shuffling a playlist, through Hillsong and through, finding himself through music. So, that's something that I recommend for people who are listening. Like, if you're going through stuff and you're in the shit and you're down bad, find a song for your season, which is such a massive thing that I do.
You obviously, introduced him to what we call the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit has replenished him, has given him back faith. Because when you're in the darkness, you need a light. And there's no bigger light than if you know Jesus, if you know God, if you know the Holy Spirit. Like, we can only just say from experience that is the ultimate light. That's the ultimate. And I think when I went through my breakup, there was a lot of times where I literally just shuffled Christian music, and put myself to sleep, and that was so soothing. It's hard to explain, but it's exactly what that guy went through. That was a very vital time. And yet again, when you're on your hands and knees, and whether you believe in God or not, I'm telling you, even just pretend to believe in God and put your hands up and go, if there is a God,
give me something.
Give me something.
Try.
And the stories that I hear of complete atheists who get in that position and something happens. It's amazing.
And like, there's that whole thing around action creates something. There's a word I'm looking for, but like, giving yourself and putting yourself in a position to be like physically hands and knees, like whether you're 100%. Whatever situation you're in, like, come on, like,
it's about surrendering.
Yeah, man. Like, and giving that action, you receive something from that. And I've people say it's coincidence and it's opportunity and that just happens, right? Or that's lucky. And I'm like, no, man, that's Jesus.
There's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as coincidence. Things are spontaneous combustion, random, spontaneous. A giant tree or giant unseen bird isn't going to just crash in front of us. We've never seen it. Dinosaurs are going to come through. That's just random. Things happen so specifically, so purposefully. It's people don't know their power, and they don't know what God's power is like. They just don't know Him. They don't know Him. And that's all we can do is like try and expose you to show them. I'm telling you, got to meet this guy.
He's the man.
He's the man.
So we're gonna wrap it up. I've loved.
We could keep going for so
we might do part 2. This conversation, man. Like, this is gold, bro.
There's
like,
so much I could still talk about.
I've loved having you on here. Before we go, if there was one thing you could say to someone who has been through your situation, where it's you get yourself there, then you fail. You get yourself not fail, but you take 2 steps back, and you get yourself, and it's, oh man, I've got to do this again. For someone who's in that situation or in that father role,
Yeah.
You know, I think we really touched on that father figure and
100%.
that, you know, what that looks like and how to do that, you know, or take steps to better, you know, your role modeling as a father or as a young mentor, men or women. You know, what would be your advice?
Wow.
Big mic drop.
Mic drop. Where do I start? I don't even know how to answer that. That is hard because it's so circumstantial in their situation. Other than like surrender, to just have faith that it's going to be all right. Have faith that there is a creator who wants the best for you, and if you give it to him, he will help you. Then there's also he'll send you a life raft and throw it at you and go, I want to save you. Yeah. You got to take it.
Yeah.
There's so many situations where I've seen someone who's on the mends onto a great transformation out of their darkness, and they don't fully grab that life raft and go for it. Or they don't see it. Like if I give someone a book and go, this will change your life, and you will be beyond, so much more successful beyond your your comprehension. I'm gonna read books. Yeah. I'm not a reader. Don't brand yourself. Yeah. It's somehow beating your demons, somehow beating your limiting beliefs. Discover what your limiting beliefs are, and figure out a way to reprogram your mind out of that. Affirmations have worked a lot for me, and I think that's something I still barely tapped into. Writing down, finding an affirmation that's inspiring for you, because it is about reprogramming your mind.
Definitely.
If you have limiting beliefs about what your worth is and what you're worthy of, you're always going to only ever accept crap and trash. If you're that chick who keeps picking, Tony Robbins talked about this, I'm pretty sure it was him. If a woman walks into a room with low self-esteem and there are 100 dudes in the room and then 99 of them are top blokes who are going to be awesome husbands, and there's one douchebag in the room, she's going to find that guy.
Yeah, wow.
So it's, how do you fix that? How do you find your limiting beliefs, your low self-esteem issues, because they're all lies. Yeah. It's trying not to believe the lies that you put on yourself. Yeah. Try not to believe the lies you put on your level of success. You know, I feel like I've got some caps and some roofs that I've got to break in order to achieve the next level of success in my life. And it's a discovery. So it's discovering what's holding you back. It's not listening to your negative beliefs. I think there's so many people out there, and I see it with adults, and who are somewhat successful, but they are nowhere near their potential because they're listening to the negative self-talk. That negative self-talk. So there's so many facets to tell someone to go, how do I get out of a bad place? Yeah. But I think it's replenishing your faith. I think it's understanding you can get through it. You can get through it, and you have no idea what's on the other side. And you have no idea how you can actually affect and create that other side. I think we don't know our power. I think you're going to have a lot of the youth, the struggle youth these days, and the people that you would deal with, they just have such bad self-reflection on themselves, so much self-hate, so much lack of self-worth, that you will then only manifest that true reality. If it's true to you, you will create that reality. I see people struggle every single day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if you only knew how awesome you are, and your potential, and how cool you are, and how smart you are, you might think you're dumb, but you're not. You've just manifested that. That is not your true identity and how you were born and created to be. You are so awesome and worthy of an amazing life. You just don't know it yet. But believe in yourself, and you can create that life and change it for sure. You have so much more potential and power than you think.
Wicked, man. That is, honestly, bro, I couldn't have asked to end it on a better note. Like that is so wicked, man. But thank you again for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everybody to listening on Into the Yarning Circle. And make sure to share, comment, subscribe, and like. And if you're wanting to watch the visual side of this podcast, make sure to hit Isiah.Hippisley at youtube.com.